So this is the review for Bioshock Infinite, and basically kind of give you a little background on this game. This is the story of a Pinkerton called Booker DeWitt, and he is tasked with basically a mission to bring back a girl from this like floating city in the sky called Columbia. So, and if you remember anything from the previous Bioshock games, like Bioshock 1 and 2, you'll probably already have some crazy expectations as to what Columbia will entail. But basically, he has to bring this girl back and bring her back to New York. And that way his debt is wiped away, because they pretty much insinuate to you that this guy has some serious problems, possibly with gambling, most likely, and maybe even a drinking issue. I mean, all this, because with most Bioshock games, we really don't get to internalize with the character. This is really a departure from what people are probably used to, and probably had a lot of people kind of apprehensive going into the game. You can rest assured it's not that big of an issue. Booker DeWitt is a very, very interesting character. Very well voice acted by Troy Baker. It's really nice to actually have a character you can kind of relate to, get to know a little bit about. You really don't get to know about your characters in the previous games. I mean, you just know what they are.
I guess you're expecting me.
One thing I will say, the thing that kind of caught me off guard with this game, the game has a lot of religious elements, which weren't necessarily present in some of the previous games. I mean, there's a very strong, powerful sense of religion in this game. Matter of fact, one of the first things you hear when you start this game is, "Are you afraid of God?" And it was like, I kind of thought, I was like, that's a little weird. I wouldn't expect to be asked that in a Bioshock game. But one thing I thought was actually really cool is that it's very well placed in the game. I mean, your entire journey, it's almost like an Alice in Wonderland type thing, very similar to what you had in previous games. But with this one, I don't know, for some reason it seemed a little bit more personal, just because, you know who this guy is. He's voice acted. You know he doesn't really want to go where, he thinks he's going. And to him, he's never seen anything like this. So, I mean, it's a very, I don't know, the entire setup of Columbia is just a really crazy place. Like right here, I mean, if you look at it, this is about the same level of wonder I had the first time that I saw Rapture for the first time. And I mean, like, you see this place and it's like, man, how can you make a place like this a living, breathing thing and make it believable? And they do a really good job of it. I mean, they pretty much set a tone for you that will really drag you in. It will really just kind of blow you away. And I gotta admit, as far as the characterization of Columbia goes, the Rapture, terrifying place. With this Columbia, a little bit, it's terrifying, but in a very different way. But what they do with Columbia right off the bat, they pretty much let you know that this place is a Republican's wet dream. This is everything that you probably fear a Republican-dominated world would probably become if they had absolute and total power and nobody to stop them. I mean, segregation is still kind of a thing. The issues of slavery and race relations, not just between whites and blacks, but between whites and the Chinese, the Native American. It's very, it hits you right in the face. It doesn't apologize for it, because it wants you to know this place is ugly. As beautiful as it is on the outside, if you look on the inside, it is an ugly place. And the Prophet Comstock is basically your, he's kind of your Fontaine for this game. I mean, he is your foil. And they don't really give you a whole heap of a lot of information on him on the front end, because, I mean, you're learning about him as you go along. But the guy is vicious. And as you can kind of see, going back to those race relation elements, there are scenes where you're just like, whoa, is this really happening? This is really happening right here. And it's like, I mean, but once again, I thought it was really cool.
Or are you taking your coffee black these days? Oh, looks like we've got a shy one here. We've got to do.
And once again, I mean, you're posed with tons of different choices. I mean, they don't really have like a do or die type of feeling to them, but I mean, they flesh out the game in a way that kind of tailors a little bit more to your play style. I haven't gotten a chance to go back through and play the game a second time to kind of make alternate choices to see what the differences are, but I got a feeling you'll notice them having played through it twice. Kind of moving away from the story, I'm going to talk about the combat in the game. Combat is actually just the same as it was in Bioshock 1 and 2. The only difference is instead of having plasmids, this time what you have are vigors. Same damn thing. No change there. The only major difference in all of it is the fact that the vigors in this game are pretty much what you're used to seeing, though you get them with a little bit more frequency than what you got in previous games. Like within the first couple, maybe 2 hours, I'd already picked up 4 different vigors. And once you pick up these vigors, I mean, you become the powerhouse that power implies. Like right here, you know, picking up the Devil's Kiss. I mean, I love how they set this up because, I mean, not only can you throw fireballs at people, but you can also lay traps that can be triggered, you know, as soon as like a proximity mine almost. And I mean, once again, they still have like the environmental objects that can interact with your vigors. So you have gasoline and water spills and stuff like that. And like, see here, I'm getting ready to pick up the Murder of Crows. And this one is really cool because you can pretty much hit people with a Murder of Crows that will not only just damage them, but it'll also stun and distract them. And you can even mix this power with other powers, just like you could in previous Bioshock games. I thought it was really neat the way you could actually throw your powers around. And they even give you more ways to modify these abilities. And I can already go ahead and tell you right now, Murder of Crows is probably one of the most useful ones that they give you. On top of, there's a few other ones later they give you that are pretty awesome too, that I won't really get into. As far as the way death is handled, it's pretty much the same. You don't really have the Vita chambers like you had in the original game. You pretty much, when you die, you just reappear behind a door that's kind of in Booker DeWitt's subconscious. And you have the ability to open that door and come right back out where you were, or somewhere not too terribly far away from it. Now, one thing too, when you do this, not only will you lose a little bit of money, but you will also, your enemies will also be healed a little bit to a degree. Another thing in the game too that's new is the skyhook, which I'm using here. The skyhook is really good. At first I was a little worried. I didn't think it would work all that well. It actually works pretty great. I mean, and you see here, you can use it to great effect to take out enemies. Another good thing about it too is, I don't know if you could see in the bottom right corner, but they actually give you many different ways to kind of control your journey on the skyhook. So you're not really just on rails, per se. I mean, you can actually, you know, twist yourself back around. You can throttle to make yourself move faster. And like I said, once again, use it to leap off of the rail and attack enemies. And it's, with your lesser enemies, it's typically a one-hit kill. Like what we're about to do here. Otherwise, I mean, it does enough damage that it'll at least stun them or knock them away. And you get even more abilities that help flesh that out. And once again, I mean, I love the atmosphere that they give you in this game, because they pretty much set you up with I don't know, with a type of foreboding atmosphere that pretty much, like I said, as beautiful as Columbia is, they make you feel so helpless at times, and give you these moments of despair that basically let you know that you are in over your head.
As blood is yours. You know why these men will die for? Because because I have seen their future in the glory, and hence they are content. What brought you to Columbia, Booker? Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt? This will end in blood. Then again, it always does with you, doesn't it? It always ends in blood.
And yet again, one thing I haven't talked about here is Elizabeth. And when you meet Elizabeth, she is the character's baseline to get you through this game. Now, granted, one thing I do love about her is that the fact that Elizabeth and Booker DeWitt have some of the best character interaction that I've seen in a game in quite some time. And she does work really well as an AI character. I mean, granted, you will have growing pains with each other. I mean, as far as the character development part of it goes. But one of the things I really dug about is the fact she doesn't really get in the way all that much. I mean, she does have some little typical AI glitches that they happen very sparingly. So I won't really harp on them too much. But I mean, it just, I really thought that was cool, you know, the fact that you get to see a lot of that character interaction between her and Booker. And of course, that also, by proxy, gets you a little bit closer to some of the major antagonists of the game. I mean, you really do have to rely on each other to make it through this game. And I mean, once you start playing, you get to the points where she has to help you a lot more, you realize you need her. You need her, she needs you. So I really like the fact that they actually put an AI character in the game who, for the first time, I felt like I didn't really have to babysit. She can take care of herself for the most part. Now, with all that being said, I couldn't really think of any major problems that I had with the game. The game is fun. I just had a lot of joy playing it. I didn't even realize how much time I spent on it, you know, by the time I got through it and completed it. Probably one of the best endings to a game I've seen in a long time. And a lot of people have talked about how revolutionary this game is. And I gotta admit, as much as I was, you know, reluctant to agree, it's true. This game is revolutionary. Just as much as Bioshock 1 was at the start of this console cycle, this game is more of the same. So, I would say Bioshock Infinite, if I had to rate it, I would have to say that it's fan-freaking-tastic. So go out there, get this game, go enjoy it, and don't worry, I haven't spoiled a single thing for you because all of this stuff happens within the first hour of the game. And the big twist you won't see coming when it finally hits you.